Hey guys, it's Ty with Ty the Dog Guy on the Daily, and I wanted to ask you a question. Is your dog sick? Does your dog have an illness? And what I mean by that is, well, hopefully I don't mean it literally. Hopefully your dog's not sick right now and you've got a healthy dog physically. But whenever I'm talking with folks about their dog's behavior problems, I often find that the conversation sounds like we're talking about icebergs. Because what's the thing with icebergs, right? It's like, you know, when you see the iceberg, it's like, what is it, 90% of the iceberg is under the surface or something like that, right? And so really what you're seeing with the iceberg is just kind of the tip of it. And obviously that's where we get the phrase and the saying, tip of the iceberg. And so oftentimes when I'm talking with folks, they're telling me about the problems. Essentially, what they're telling me about is the tip of the iceberg. Not that there's like a billion other problems, but what they're failing to often comprehend is that the problem that they think they have is not the problem that they have. And really, like I say, I always compare it to an illness or a disease. Again, not in a literal sense, not in the sense that the dog's, you know, suffering from some sort of physical pain or malady, but in the sense that what is an illness? An illness at its core is essentially, root cause with symptoms, right? And the symptoms are what we tend to see in most illnesses. You know, we see stuffy nose, whatever. We see headache, we see fever, we see coughing, you know, we see fatigue. I mean, whatever it is, we see the symptom. That's what we see, right? But what we don't see is the other part of the iceberg that's under the surface, which is the bacteria or the virus or the fungus or whatever else causes disease. And so it's the same with behavior. What we see, if we just go after and try to treat the symptom, you know, I always joke, and in fact, I've written about this in some of my articles, so this might sound like review. But I've had pneumonia a few times, unfortunately, throughout my life. And with pneumonia, what do we get? You know, we get, I've had achy body, fever, coughing. It's pretty miserable. And if I was to go into the doctor's office and the doctor said, well, shoot, you've got an achy body. I'm going to give you some aspirin. Let's see, you've got a fever. I'm going to prescribe you to get into the shower and cool down. You know, what are these things? They're treating the symptom, right? And on the surface, I don't know that that's bad. I'm not a doctor, but I don't think it's wrong to take a shower and take some aspirin if you've got pneumonia. But really, is it going to solve the problem? The answer is no. It's going to provide temporary relief. And so when somebody comes to me and says, oh, well, my dog's acting aggressive, what do I do in that moment? You know, that's a big question I get. What do I do when my dog is lunging at other dogs? What do I do when my dog's peeing in the house? What do I do when my dog is barking at the neighbors? In reality, it's not what you do in that moment that is the biggest thing. The biggest thing you do is the other 90% of the time, the other part of the iceberg. It's the foundation. It's the underlying cause. It's the bacteria or the virus that we have to get at. And so there's a lot of different bacterias with our dogs and their behavior. More often than not, they tend to revolve around improper structure, improper supervision, lack of supervision, relationship that's not clear, communication that's not precise, focus that's not been taught, things like that. And those are the different underlying causes. And then the symptoms we see are the things that people talk about. The barking, the lunging, the biting, the peeing, the chewing, all the other stuff that you may or may not be complaining about with your dog. And so like I say, what I'm always trying to help my clients and dog owners understand is let's think less about the symptoms and let's think more about the underlying cause. Let's get after the bacteria. You know, treating the symptom, we're going to do that. You know, we need to do something the moment your dog's barking and lunging. We need to do something the moment your dog's peeing. But what we need to do is far more work on the foundation so that the dog doesn't feel the need to be barking, lunging, peeing, chewing, destroying, etc. Make sense? All right, happy training, guys.